Hello, everybody. How are you doing on this dreary, dreamy, ethereal sort of a Monday? I am doing all right, despite what we have been watching transpire on the football field over the last couple of weeks here. It's a bit of a bummer, but if you've been listening to the show, I think particularly if you listened to our post-game podcast last week where Cruz Steelski and Big Steeler Mood and Cody Coleman joined us, I think we were already sort of sitting Shiva for our on-field sports hero. And so I think maybe I'm just a week further along in the grieving process than some. Please don't take that to mean that I am, somehow less of a fan of Ben Roethlisberger or anything like that at this point. It's nothing but love. It's nothing but respect, but we got to call it how we see it. That's how we do things here at Five Star Matchup. And speaking of Five Star Matchup and Five Star Radio, joining me, my cohort as per usual, the man, the myth, the legend, the staunch Mason Rudolph supporter, Gage Ryan. How you doing, bud?
I'm dandy. How are you?
He's doing dandy. Well, yeah, as I was just ranting about, I somehow don't feel that bad, like mentally or physically. I mean, there's definitely been moments, like it's been lesser and lesser as I've gotten older, but there have been moments as a fan where, like, after a particularly bad loss, I do let it carry over into my next day. I've gotten better about that as I've gotten older, but today, I don't know. I just kind of feel numb. I've been through, I've mentioned it on air and stuff, but like, it's not football. I know it's a different thing, but I've been through the loss and grieving process in real life. You're never prepared for it. You never know how to react to it. And I think I'm just kind of observing our fandom do that on a large scale. What do you think?
I think we're all in different stages right now because I think a lot of us kind of see the writing on the wall. I think there's some Steeler fans out there that are still kind of holding on to. Well, they could turn this around, and they could. I just don't think they will.
It feels less likely by the week. I know you and me were talking after the game last night, but I think I said that I feel like I have seen the same game 4 times in a row,
Yeah,
and it's been worse each time. So like I
yeah,
just I don't
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you were hoping to see improvement because we've seen Ben get off to bad starts. I mean, how many times? Like, really, the Steelers outside of last year, which is kind of a little bit of an anomaly. We don't really see them get off the hot starts. So
no
to see
no
them go 2-2, like that wasn't really unreasonable. But this does not feel like
Yeah, sorry, I lost myself because I was following the chat where our Discord manager was informing me of a bogus link or something he sent me. Don't worry, bud. I appreciate the shout out, but I did not click the link. So it's all good. Thank you for that. No good. No good.
someone in the chat saying that we're going to win less than five. We may win less than 5 games. I don't think we're going to be that bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I don't know how many W's I see on the schedule, if I'm really being honest with myself. I mean, who are they better than at this point?
Well, I think that when you look at the numbers, the raw numbers of our defense, they don't look that good. But I think our defense is much better than the numbers say we are, just for the amount of injuries we've had. And so
Okay.
I think our defense can hold us in a lot of games. I'm just not sure how many of those we win. To your point.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, are we going to look at? I think we're going to be. I think we're going to have a lot of games that follow the same the same script, you know, like
Yeah.
it's just going to be one of these things where it stays close for longer than we think, and it's going to be like an optical illusion because opposing offenses don't have anything to worry about. There's no sense of urgency because they know that the Steelers can't that they can't put the pedal to the metal on offense. Like they know they're not gonna get into a track race with you, so they're happy scoring 24 because it's incredibly unlikely at this point that the Steelers can hit 25 points. I mean, simple as that.
It is. If I saw, like, at the beginning of the season, if you would have told me that there's no way we score 24 points, I would have been like, what the hell are you talking about? We got Juju, Claypool, Deontay. We got Ebron and Pat Freiermuth. I mean, that's some pretty solid 11 and 12 personnel, I would say. And yet, when I look at this a couple weeks into the season, I completely agree with you.
I mean, it's, because, okay, so, 2 weeks ago, I feel like it was, you were able to start saying, okay, I have some question here about, like, I didn't think Roethlisberger played that good in week 2. But people were still, oh, well, they gave up 400 yards. They lost the whole defense. Yeah, don't give me that, though. They were still in the game. Like, they didn't give up 45 points. How many did they give up? 26, right?
Something like that, yeah.
It was 26-17, I think.
The Raiders, yeah.
Yeah, so then at that point, it was well the line. The defense has all these injuries. And I think people were choosing...
offense is good.
And the people were choosing to look past... the thing which I was saying, which was that I did say to hey, you can take it away from me if you want, but I said Roethlisberger played good week 1, and I said in week 2 that I thought he was terrible. I said I thought both him and Tomlin were terrible. And then last week it was like, okay, everybody's going to start asking the question about Ben, and you and me and Austin and Cruz Steelski, Cody Coleman, Big Steeler Mood, we were all on here. And I think we all knew at that point, and people were just starting to get there. And now we're at the point where everybody is where we were a week ago. And it's just, I'm not trying to be the first one on it. I'm not like bragging, but yesterday to me, there was nothing. You remember in the preseason when we were talking about Haskins, and I was like, I wanted to see it. Like, I was hoping he would come in and ball out. I mean, but he was playing, I remember saying to you, he was playing like 3rd and 4th stringers. He's a first round pick from Ohio State. Like, he should be carving those people up, and he just wasn't doing it. So people just wanted to see what they wanted to see. Yeah. And I think that's what we're seeing with Ben right now, unfortunately. Like, I don't want to say that's what I'm seeing, but I'm just reacting how I'm reacting. And I'd be lying to you, or I would say that I was sacrificing my reputation as somebody who talks about football for hobby living, whatever the hell you want to call this thing, if I didn't say that I genuinely thought the biggest problem right now is the quarterback.
It's so frustrating. And I mean, people are already saying it in the chat. Start Dwayne Haskins, and I'm like, under what precedent? Like, Dwayne Haskins...
you wouldn't see that. The only thing, I mean, you there's a chance you could see Rudolph start some games if there's a injury type situation, but they're never going to bench Roethlisberger for real.
I think that it's entirely possible that they say, behind the scenes, they say, listen, Ben, we think you're done. And I think they might disguise it as benching him for injury.
Oh, yeah. He could have a 2-week injury that turns into like an 8-weeker. Like,
something like that.
That's totally like, if they're really bad by like week 11 or 12, I don't know if I would see that as being out of the question. But I don't think he would do it. I don't think he would do it. I don't think he would do that.
Why are people there? We got someone in the chat that keeps saying we need Duck
back. Quack,
dude. Duck. Listen. I've wanted to talk about that on the show for a while, but it never seems like there's a good time. You know.
Okay, go ahead. Bring up. You can go for Duck if you want. Go for it.
No, because it's not like I love Duck. I think we all do.
Quack, quack, motherfucker.
Quack quack, motherfucker. Exactly. It was the most fun season of 5-star matchups so far.
Dude, I got so lucky the first 2 years. I didn't know how lucky I had it until I got an absolute shit on a sandwich season this year. I mean, like, people just don't even want to talk about anything. It's like talking about a death in the family or something. You know what I mean?
Well, like people that like they say, "Oh, we need Duck back. Get rid of Mason."
Don't tell me the
Rudolph, get rid
Rudolph
of
Duck
Dwayne.
year wasn't more fun though.
It was.
That was
way
more fun than whatever the fuck this is.
because we were just like, fuck it, nothing matters. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, and
Dude,
like,
they beat
people
Kyler
are-
Murray with Duck.
I think all you need to see for how good or bad Duck can be is the fact that Sean McVay couldn't use it.
Yeah, well,
No,
I mean,
no offense to Duck. No offense to him.
you know, he is what he is. I'm a fan of the guy. I think anytime
Him
you
too.
can, you know, that kind of like physical, you have that kind of physical deficit compared to like a Ben Roethlisberger or Mason Rudolph, just to make it, you know, hey, good for him.
Do you think that we're gonna have Rudolph as our bridge quarterback for like a year or two?
I think I've said since the summer that I think the most likely scenario, even before the season started, I would have went about 50% that Rudolph would have been the quarterback starting next year, about 30% that it would have been Ben, and about 20% that it would have been a free agent. But
Yeah.
I think at this point I would probably go 60, honestly, 5 Ben, and then split the rest between a rookie or a free agent. I don't think there's any chance that Ben Roethlisberger is playing in 2022 at this point.
No.
I mean, that I don't think that even should be a hot take. I can't see it.
Fucking Deke from the Arthur Moats experience. I'm not trying to call him out because he seems like a chill dude. But him tweeting the other day saying this is my QB1 in 2022. I'm like, get the fuck at it. I'm like, look,
Yeah.
man. I even said it. I said something like I'm usually cool with the optimist, but even I think this is a bit much.
You know what I didn't anticipate, which sucks, is that I just didn't anticipate that your feelings on how Roethlisberger is playing right now was going to somehow become a proxy for how much you love and or ever respected Ben Roethlisberger.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing. Like, I know it hurts to hear. This is like, it's like what I imagine that some clueless parent feels like when they get some news about their kid. They think their kid's an angel, and they're like, "Oh no, like your kid actually just did whatever the hell," you know. And like, of course, you don't want to hear it, and your reaction is gonna be to get mad and defensive because no, we saw Ben win a Super Bowl and 2 Super Bowls, and he always put the team on his back, and he's always played injured and all this stuff, but I assure you that there is nobody who has a deeper, like, emotional connection to watching that man play football than I do. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. There, like, like I've told you this, the way he ties into my like sort of adult life, and a lot of us of our age group, and so it's not that. It's just that when I watch it, I hate watching it because I'm sitting here saying, like, there was one point when he missed the one to Juju, the one that I thought was the easier one, the one down like sort of the midfield kind of area, which still would have been a long touchdown, but regardless, it wasn't the one near the end zone. And I mean, he missed that throw, and I didn't even like try to think of this or anything, and I exclaimed like, Ben, can you just fucking fake an injury so that I don't have to watch you do this anymore? And that's really how I felt. Like, I hate watching him do this because it is not, don't tell me communication. Don't tell me Canada. Dude, he's just out here fucking missing throws. He missed another one that was just like a screen throw. Yeah, I mean, there's been one of those in every game. Are you kidding? Like, what? Dude,
I said this during the game. I think I said
it's not because he doesn't trust the
actually.
center. It's not. It's just.
No. Like I think I said it to my mom. I was like, Ben looks different on every single drive. It's just, sometimes he looks like he's in the zone and he's hitting good throws and he can at least get the offense in rhythm and move them down the field by nickel and diming them down the field. And then Then he's putting screen passes in the
Well, it's
dirt on the
because he
next
doesn't.
drive.
It's because he's not physically incapable of throwing the ball. That's the thing. Every time he hits one of the deep ones, like the touchdown yesterday, everybody immediately is like, "Oh, see, like Ben can throw. Like I told you, Ben could still throw." And it's like, no, that's he can still throw it. He does have the arm strength, but what happens when athletes age out is the consistency with which you can do it.
Yep.
I mean, you watch, if you seriously, and I know everybody hates to talk about this, but if you watch Brady last night and you just look at the way he was throwing the football and where he was putting it, or you watch Aaron yesterday, or you watch, Russell sometimes, they look like they're playing a different sport from Roethlisberger at this point.
Yes.
It looks like it's way harder for him. And, I'm used to watching a guy who makes it look easy. So I think that says something.
I think that, it's something else that I think not a lot of people really want to talk about with Roethlisberger's career. And this is obviously, hindsight 2020.
That the second half of it was mostly squandered.
Well, yes. Yes, absolutely. But I also think that, Bruce Arians' offense took a lot of years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we knew that at the time. I mean, I remember everybody saying that at the time. If you asked me in 2011, I would have never bet that Ben was still playing in 2021. No way.
No chance. And it's because, like, people always forget, like, we talk about this all the time, but how everyone has rose-colored glasses about Arians.
Oh my God,
and talk about
big time.
he was this great offensive coordinator. No, he was terrible, and he won one playoff game before having Mike Evans, Godwin, Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Arians is not the coach that he's cracked up to be. He's a good coordinator,
No,
but
I think it's the opposite. I think Arians is great head coach, coordinator.
You know what I meant.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different thing. I don't think Tomlin would have ever been as good if he stayed a D coordinator for a long period of time as I think he's a better head coach. He's just like Arians. He's a personality guy. He's not
and I'm tired of that. I really am tired of that. Like, I think that what made Cowher good was that he was not so much on offense, but he was a very X's and O's defensive kind of coach where he could kind of, I don't want to say stay ahead of the curve, but he could always keep it up.
He was still sort of a cult of personality, though. I mean,
that was part of it.
Very much the way Tomlin is. I think there's a ton of similarities between Tomlin and Cowher. I think they're almost the same mold, to be honest. I know if you obviously just look at them, you don't think that, but I think there's a lot
That's what you're saying.
A lot of similarities, and I don't know. I'm not ultimately left thinking that. Are you? All right. We need to assess, I think, where we're ultimately at with the Tomlin conversation, because, like, here's the interesting thing. So he's roughly had almost the same length of career as Cowher at this point, I think, right? He's coming up on it or somewhere around there. And, a lot of the results are pretty similar. Cowher went to more AFC championship games, but Tomlin had more success sooner, whatever. But are you ultimately left thinking that the Steelers were a greater or a lesser team in the Tomlin era or in the Cowher era?
Bill Cowher is a better coach than Mike Tomlin.
Yes, but were the Steelers greater as a sum total under Cowher than they were under Tomlin?
Well, if you want to boil it all down, and here I will answer your question, but let me just set the frame of work, in my opinion. You could take if you give Mike Tomlin a 3-win team, he'll go 8-8. If you give Mike Tomlin a Super Bowl winning team, he'll go like 9-7.
Give him at least like 11-5. Mike has had a lot of 12, 11 win seasons. I can't.
Well, what bothers me so badly about it is that Mike Tomlin in 11, 12 seasons, 13 seasons has won one Super Bowl, and he had to have a 2-time Super Bowl winning, he had to have a Hall of Fame quarterback to do it.
I can't knock him for winning a Super Bowl with Roethlisberger.
No, come on. Bill Cowher made it to the Super Bowl with Neil O'Donnell. He almost made it to the Super Bowl with Cordell Stewart. He did a lot more with a lot
Yeah,
less.
I think
Tomlin.
that the conversation there boils down to, though, is how do you assess quarterback play in either era? Because I think you can make the argument that quarterback play wasn't as important when Cowher was the head coach
No,
because
well,
I mean,
well,
dude, Cowher, look at the run, okay? From 92, he goes 11-5, 9-7, then 12-4, 11-5, 10-6, 11-5. Then he has a 3 down years, then 13, 10 down year, 15, 11. I mean, I don't know, man. If you're going to tell me he did all that and he didn't have an elite quarterback, that's pretty impressive. But I also think it speaks to the difference in the league, though, because you could not do that in the league now with a below high level quarterback. Go like 12-4, 11-5, 10-6, 11-5. I mean, I don't care how good your defense is. In the NFL, you have to have an above Mendoza line quarterback to do that.
Sean McVay.
Okay. Yeah, all right. But I mean, I think you can make the argument that Goff was like a 16th best quarterback in the league or something. I mean, it's not crazy. He had some good years.
He was one of the worst rookie quarterbacks in NFL history until Sean McVay got his hands on him.
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet that Sean McVay is probably responsible for 85% of what we've seen from Jared Goff in his career. I think that scheme is far more important.
No doubt, but Jared Goff did throw for 4,600 plus yards 2 years in a row. Like I can't. I'm not saying Goff's
bad, but come on, he was in a proven scheme, and before that proven scheme, he was horrible. Not just bad, horrible.
I mean, even his second year, 28-7 touchdown to interception ratio. I mean,
well, yeah, that was McVay's first year.
So I don't know. I feel weird. I feel weird about the Rams. I have sort of like a crush on the Rams because I like the way they do everything. I just think they're smart in that they actually go for the jugular. I think if you wanted to fault Colbert and Tomlin on anything in the last 7 or 8 years, is not really just going balls out and saying fuck it, let's win while we got this core with the triplets, because you could blame health, you could blame this, you could blame that, but when you look at these big swings that teams like the Rams make, or even Arizona the last couple years, like, I mean, those are teams that are going out and saying, no, fuck it, we're gonna go all in while our quarterback's young and get it done. And I don't know. Why didn't we do that? Why was Ross Cockrell still playing on our secondary?
Man, I got to bring it up because people are... shout out to Roman Tony because he's been very active in the chat, but he's also mentioning that he thinks Tomlin... Yeah, thanks for hanging out. He's mentioning that Tomlin's a top 5 coach. No, he's not. Tomlin is a guy... take a look at any game from this season. You could make an argument that Tomlin outcoached McDermott in the Bills game, but I also think that was more to do with offense.
No, I have to give him credit. I said on the show, and I believe it, I thought he did excellent week 1. I give him credit. I thought he did credit.
Then he got outcoached by John Gruden.
He's looked like a fucking chump the last 3 weeks.
He got outcoached by John Gruden, then got outcoached by Zach fucking Taylor.
And he's had no answers. Like the answer, like the responses at the press conferences, the out of bullets thing last week, to me, really, it was a real moment for me with Mike T, because it was the first time that I just really was like, huh. It's kind of the same thing that we're talking about with Ben, where it's, we're all facing the first time where we're like, wow, I don't think that guy can do it. Whereas we spent 18 years saying, oh, well, whatever the situation is, if you wanted a guy to get you back, it'd be that guy. And I think with Tomlin, even if it's been bullshit at times, I still always was like, well, I think he acknowledges what's in front of him and stuff. And I don't know if it's just the situation. I don't know if it's just unwinnable, because I don't know what you think is supposed to... I don't know what they're supposed to do, because they're not going to bench Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger is not going to get any better. Even if they benched him, what's really the difference? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how much I can put this year on Mike if Roethlisberger just sucks. Because do you think they did the wrong thing? I think they
no,
probably
I
did
don't.
the right thing by bringing him back. I think they tried to build a good team around him.
No, I agree. I agree.
I don't know. It's tough, man. I don't know. This one, I think I could put a lot of last year on Tomlin. I think I could put a lot of 18 on Tomlin for sure. I give him
17.
a lot of credit for 19, a ton of credit for 19. He should have won Coach of the Year. Frankly, it's a disaster that he didn't. But I don't know. This one, it's hard for me to blame him because I just don't know what they should have done. Like, in the best case scenario, what should they have done?
There's people in the chat that are trying to say that Tomlin was not being outcoached while he was throwing screen passes on 4th and 10. I just have to bring that up real quick.
I just don't think Tomlin has anything to do with the offense, and I think the offensive play calling is so limited by what Roethlisberger is willing to do. I mean, dude, he's not even looking to throw it down the field.
No, but we've talked about this before, though, that it's not just that. It's the mentality that he's put into the offense, where every fucking offensive coordinator, for some reason, thinks we have to go run pass the whole first half. Like, it's very clear that Tomlin has an imprint in this offense. He may not be calling the plays, but he is doing something with the offense, and it's holding it back.
I don't know. I just don't know how good I think it's 100%. I mean, not 100%, but it's pretty strongly on the quarterback for me.
I agree. I agree with.
When you look at the stats, I mean, we've already experienced basically in 4 weeks what we experienced in the entirety of last season. We had an unexpected start where it was like surprisingly efficient, just enough to get it done, got a good win against a good team, and then it's just snowballed into hell after that. Just absolute inefficient hell. I mean, we're supposed to be protecting Roethlisberger. We're worried about him taking hits. You're still talking about, run, pass, which I don't disagree with you. But also, look at the attempts, man. 40, 58, 40. These weren't games. I mean, these were games that you were losing, but not losing by like 24 points.
No.
How many times is Roethlisberger going to throw the ball? His arm's going to fucking fall off. It's week 4.
And it's because that's another thing, though, that I have to at least put a little bit on Tomlin, where how do you not see that this bullshit 5-wide shit is not sustainable?
And they're still going empty with Ben and those big moments, these 4th and 1s. They keep going empty with Roethlisberger. I hear about how the protection's bad, but then their answer every time there's a big moment is just to go 5 wide and have Ben pick and choose either a slant or a flat. Like, I don't know, man. Why do you do that? Why not put it? Why not, like, I'm not a put in the fullback guy, but like, why not keep one of the tight ends in the block? Why not put an extra tackle in? That used to be in the offense. I thought Canada's supposed to be
like you're trying to run,
or put Benny Snell, or I saw Ballage in there for a couple plays. Like, put him in there to pass protect. What's the?
I've had enough. I've had enough of Benny Snell. I've had enough. He can't. He's so much trouble reading balls.
He's a fine pass protector.
Yeah, but
they trust him in that. I think they do, because they've put him in there on 3rd downs a couple times. Because Naj has, bless him, he's huge, and hopefully he gets good at it. But he is not good at the pass protection. But yeah, I don't know. I saw a stat today about Najee, and it was saying that he had the most yards from scrimmage of any rookie, and they showed the 2 behind him were Jamar Chase and Devonta Smith. Is it the one from
Devonta Smith? Yeah, the Eagles.
Yep. And Najee had like 60 more yards than both of them, and people were like, "Wow, that's crazy," because it doesn't feel like it. And then I looked at the stats, and Najee did have more yards than both of them, but he had 81 touches, and the other dudes had 17 and 18. And I was like, dude, he's got 81 touches in 4 games that they've lost 3 of.
I've never seen a coach.
How's he supposed to survive? And then Ben's calling him out in the post game, telling him to get more physical. Could you fucking believe that? Did you hear him say that?
Watching. No, I don't even watch the post game.
He's like, I told Naj, I said, Naj, like, make sure you like get physical. You're a big dude. Like, I played with Jerome, and Jerome created contact, and that was a game changer. Like, what's that supposed to mean, Ben? He's supposed to power through 7 tacklers on a 4th and 1 because you won't throw it past the sticks? Come on.
That pisses me the fuck off because I'm tired of that shit. Where Ben, he's been trying to turn over a new leaf, if you want to call it that, where he's not blaming his teammates. But then, now
He's
he's got to
always
get
been
more
fucking.
physical. Now
If
he's going
you
to get more
read,
physical. Oh yeah, well, how about you throw it longer than 3 goddamn yards?
I know, dude. I know. It's awful. It's just I hate watching it. I hate listening to. I hate listening to him talk about it after a game. It makes me sick. I hate now watching. I cringe every time I see Juju going to do one because I just know somebody's going to trap him or Claypool in something and they're going to say some shit and then it's going to snowball and then it's going to do this. Yeah. And I can't even blame them because they're putting them in such a shitty situation because what are they supposed to say? When somebody says, oh, well, why were you frustrated because that wasn't a touchdown? You think Juju's going to say, oh, well, because Ben fucking missed me? Of course he's not going to say that. He's going to take the blame, but is he going to be doing that with a smile on his face after 15 weeks of this? I don't think so.
He won't be in by week 15 if this continues.
Oh, my God. Man, I got to tell you, I hate to say it, but I don't think anybody is regretting their offseason decision more than Juju Smith-Schuster right now. Probably.
I don't know about that. I'm not sold on that.
Dude, he's going to have how many catches this year? What did he have yesterday? 1 catch?
No, but I don't know how many times Juju said throughout the course of the year, last year leading up, that he didn't want to leave Pittsburgh no matter what. He said, I don't care about my stats. I don't care about this.
But he's a genius with marketing, dude. He just knows how to get people to, like, be
that's the thing. That's why I don't feel bad for him, because he's always going to make money.
Oh, yeah, he's making a shitload of money. He makes more money off the field than he does on. I don't, it's not like I'm, don't take this as, like, sympathy for him. I'm just saying he's probably kind of regretting it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Someone right here said Tomlin is such an elite coach that he managed to fumble a season after season with an offense like the Killer Bees.
Yeah, I mean, but they had no defense. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
And the Killer Bees did have some bad injury situations at the end of those runs, to be fair. But I agree. They didn't. But to me, that's more of an organizational failure because I never, like I said earlier, I never thought they patched the holes in the team. You know, like, go out. I look at. The Bucks just went out and signed Richard Sherman. Why? Why is Richard Sherman just around? What? You know, why not sign him? What did teams gain by, like, just letting some good veteran sit unsigned? What is the point? Why did the Steelers, you can't tell me they really thought they were going to win this year, and the offensive linemen from outside the organization that they chose to sign were, like, Joe Haig and Rashad Coward, who's a converted defensive lineman. Really? Yeah. Really? What? Don't they still have like $10 million under the cap?
Something like that. Yeah.
So, you wouldn't rather have one good player than 3 horrible ones? I mean,
no. I mean, they're kind of.
Did they think Chooks was going to be good? Because Chooks hasn't been good at all.
Chooks has been abysmal, I would say. I feel bad saying because
and all this to say, I didn't even think the offensive line was close to the biggest problem yesterday at all.
The offensive line, no, I actually thought the O-line showed improvement. I thought we actually could run the ball a little bit. I saw a little more of inside zone. It didn't go anywhere usually, but at least they're fucking trying it.
Oh, they got some. I thought the run game was improved yesterday.
I agree.
If you want to take, tiny little bright spots, like that's the one I'll say is I did think the run game improved.
Someone in the chat's talking about we need to sign another running back. That's the last thing we need right now.
Oh, man. Yeah, I know. That was like everybody that wanted to get rid of Connor last year. I said it all year. Connor is not like a great running back. Connor was the least of the problems with the running game last year.
No, Connor had...
He just can't stay healthy, so you can't give him a deal. But, I mean...
He didn't have vision either.
He was the least of the problems.
I don't think he had very good vision.
I thought the offense in 2018 with Connor starting was actually pretty good. I liked the 2018 offense until everything blew up.
James Conner's first 8 starts were actually better than Le'Veon Bell's first 8 starts. Fun fact.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I mean Le'Veon wasn't a finished product when he started. He needed that second-year jump.
Yeah, he had a second-year jump, and I think that we were expecting James Conner to kind of ascend into probably a top 10 back in the league we were
Yeah,
hoping for.
yeah.
Like, really, think about it. If you had James Conner, if he could have just minimized contact a bit, he could have been pretty damn good. He did make it to a Pro Bowl, to his credit.
Oh yeah, no, and he deserved it. He was one of the best running backs in the league in 2018. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that, in my opinion.
Oh, no, my bad. I misunderstood something. They said, no, 2 seasons ago, we should have signed Kareem Hunt. I don't know. I think we have enough. We have a, not to go any farther into this, but I feel like the Steelers already have enough issues with certain off the field actions with certain players. So I don't feel like we need to add to that.
Wait till they trade for Deshaun Watson in the offseason.
Oh my God. I don't even know if I would watch the Steelers if they fucking signed Deshaun Watson.
It would be hard, huh? It would be hard.
It would just be.
They're not going to do that.
There's a no chance they'll do. It would go against kind of everything. I think. Yeah.
All right, give me though. Okay, let's just play a little hypothetical. We're having some fun hanging out in the chat. Make sure if you're watching, by the way, that you hit that like button real quick. Helps us rank. Times are dark, algorithmically speaking, considering the Steelers seem to suck a tremendous amount of ass in 2021. You know, what was I was doing a topic change there, and I rolled into an ad, and I forgot what I was gonna say.
That's all good. Yeah, we're talking kind of about the running backs in the chat.
Yeah.
Kind of where that, excuse me, where that was going. Like, I think that Connor was in a good situation, and I think that when he was first there, the O-line was still pretty good.
Sure. Yeah.
And so when that O-line regressed like it did, I don't think we saw anything from Connor.
I remember what I was going to say to you. So we're do a little hypothetical here. I have long held the opinion that I think it's most likely that the next medium to long-term Steelers quarterback is probably going to be a free agent acquisition. I think that because to me, if Roethlisberger had retired and they pulled off the Matt Stafford trade, don't you think the Steelers probably would have been pretty good this year?
Yes.
So I just feel like, especially with the cap space coming down the pipe, I know everybody wants to make the Aaron Rodgers thing, which I think isn't as insane as it seems, but still, I don't think it's tremendously likely. What would be a guy that you could see that you would get behind as like, yeah, I think that's a pretty good signing. Like just surface level, like off the top of your head, is there a guy in the league that you'd love to take a flyer on that maybe somebody wouldn't expect?
That's a good question, actually. I hate saying that that's a good question because, like, what? All my other questions suck. No.
No. Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Like, I've seen some people throw around some interesting ideas, like a Daniel Jones, because it has to be two parts of it. It has to be the one part where, like, they, for whatever reason, wouldn't stay with the current situation, or like, those middle-aged quarterbacks like a Stafford, or like, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I'm trying to get a full scope of like free agent quarterbacks for next year.
Yeah.
For me to give you an answer, I think that Daniel Jones is an interesting acquisition because this is, people love this. I actually like Daniel Jones, not for what he currently is, but for what he kind of could be. I guess, because you remember seeing him in college.
I didn't really watch him much in college, but I watched him a good bit in the pros. He moves really well, and he throws on the run pretty well.
He moves and throws on the run pretty well, but the way he was in school, in college, he was. I'm not trying to say this to be a dick. I'm saying it because it reminds me of it. He was Tom Brady essentially, where every throw was what you would expect. It was a check down. Yeah. And I place a different value on a quarterback that's in a run heavy team. Yeah. Like people talk about Neil O'Donnell, and like Neil O'Donnell was pretty good because he would throw to complement the run game. And
I think that Daniel Jones
play within your limitations, exactly. And I think Daniel Jones could do that. Like really, but that's what I think. Like, why would you have Daniel Jones when you already have Mason Rudolph? You know what I mean? I think they're in the same
I think the
general
ceiling's probably.
level.
I think the ceiling's probably higher with Jones, just because of
I disagree.
the physical ability to move and run. I think
He's a fumble machine.
He does fumble it a lot. He does.
He has like 10 or like 15, like something ridiculous more fumbles than like number 2 on the list.
You know who's continuing to play pretty well? Is just nobody cares about it. Is Taylor Heineke is actually playing pretty good for Washington.
Good for him, man.
Yeah, you love to see it.
He was a practice squad for a fucking XFL team. Now he's a starter in the NFL. I mean, mazel tov to him.
Good for him.
You know, who's a quarterback who I mean, I don't think he's gonna come over here now with how he's doing, but Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for Teddy Bridgewater. We got him coming up this week, right? Because he's the Broncos starter.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know. I wasn't sold on him, but I was impressed with what I thought he did with Carolina last year. Even though I know they were kind of underwhelming, I thought it was clear he was the furthest thing from their problem. And they seem to have made the right move moving up to Darnold too. It seems to be working out with them. I think that's a franchise doing a lot of the right things right now.
Wait, you talking about the Panthers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that they're doing really well with their run D, especially.
Yeah, they're good. David Tepper went down there, Steelers' former minority owner, and bought up. He's like some mega rich dude, and bought.
What do you think
Panthers.
they're doing? They're essentially doing what they did with Tom. You remember when Tomlin first started for the Steelers, and when they asked him what his vision of the team would be, and he said in like 5 or 6 words: "Run the ball, stop the run."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that-that's a lot of what the Panthers are doing. They got McCaffrey to run the ball, and they have the best run D in the league. So,
oh yeah, you see it. I mean, teams that lean on their running attack definitely. You can still mask a kind of shitty quarterback. If you look at what the Vikings do, I watched a lot of them because they were playing the Browns, and their whole offense is just because of Dalvin Cook. I mean, Thielen's a nice player, and they got some other skill. They got Justin Jefferson, but if you really just needed Cousins to be the dude every single week in, week out, it's not going to work out. He really sucks. I really think he sucks.
Dude, if you
would
think
be my
that Kirk
worst,
Cousins sucks,
he would be my worst nightmare if the Steelers signed him as their next quarterback. It would be physically difficult for me to be happy about that in any way, shape, or form, even if it costs $5.
No, that I can agree with you on. I don't want to see Kirk Cousins.
I hate Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins destroys bad teams, and every time that he needs to make a big play in a big spot, he shits his pants. He is the unlucky version of Tom Brady.
If the
because
sun,
they play identically.
If the sun is down and the lights are on, that dude will be fucking awful.
It does.
Every time.
He thank bugs for me, please.
He is just like...
Thank you.
He is just the worst. But I don't know, man. I we'll see who the Steelers, what happens in the next year plus. I do think it would be incredibly unlikely for Roethlisberger to be the quarterback next year, though, at this point, I think. But it is what it is. We are hanging out on this dreary Monday afternoon. 40 people hanging out watching us. Make sure you click that like button. Please consider subscribing, following the show on every other platform. If you like 5-Star Radio, it is available on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts now, so make sure you subscribe there. Thanks to the great work by Austin.
I was wondering why you were talking over me, and I realized my mic was muted.
Oh yeah, that's why I was going, because you were not. I wasn't getting anything. I thought you might have been occupied because it sounded like you must have accidentally muted. That's okay, man. Go ahead. I got nothing to talk over you about.
When I think about who would I want, just really if I could pick out who could be a free agent or who might be a free agent, I would lean towards someone like Teddy Bridgewater, because
I would like
really, if we have I mean, again, this is all speaking in hypotheticals. If you have a Matt Canada run heavy, kind of minimize the throwing, where you just kind of use it to complement the run game, and you keep a defense that can stop the run and has Minka in the secondary, I think that could work, and I think they could do a lot of damage. I think that Ben is doing more bad than good to the team right now.
I totally agree with that, yeah.
So I actually think if you just get a quarterback who minimizes mistakes, I think that we could do something.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Roman in the chat says, let's talk about right now. What do you think we need to do to win right now? And I hate to be blunt with you, my friend, but I just don't know that there is an answer that is pliable, because they're just... The only option is that they get better quarterback play, and I don't think they're going to get it from Roethlisberger, and I also don't think they're going to bench Roethlisberger.
I agree.
And I just don't know. I don't know how much it matters. Like, does it? Would you rather this team win 7 games or 8 games as some sort of a display of pride, rather than win 3 and get like a top 5 draft pick? Is that better? I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Are we really feeling that much better if it's December and we're like, 4-7 and it's like, I don't know.
Well, I also think that if there was a guy who we really needed, like, do you remember when Shazier got hurt in the next draft? We went from like 30th in the draft or 29th in the draft all the way up to like 10th to get Devin Bush. Like,
we went up from like 20, 23, 20, because it wasn't the next year, it was the year after. They tried to get by without addressing it, and then they drafted Bush in 19.
Okay, yeah, you're right. So I think, though, that if there is a guy who they really, really needed, and they were like, this is our guy. I think if they had a... Actually, no, I'm not even going to use that example. It's aged terribly. But if you have a guy that they really think they needed, I think they could trade up to get him.
You mean in the draft?
Yes.
Like at quarterback specifically, you mean?
Well, yes, but then the more I think about it, though, the Steelers' history kind of isn't with drafting high-up quarterbacks. Their history is with veteran quarterbacks.
Sure, but the only 2 that ever did anything were picked within the top 11 of the draft.
I also think that Terry...
Terry was a number 1 overall pick.
Well, yeah, Terry was a number 1 overall pick, but I also think his success more so had to do with the vast amount of talent around.
4-0 in the Super Bowl, bro.
That's true.
4-0. All right.
Hey,
Tom Brady might have won 1 million Super Bowls. How many has he lost? Like 5? 3? That's crazy.
He lost to the Eagles. That's my favorite.
I know. That's a crazy Super Bowl, man. That's one of the most wild games ever. That was like, I think probably the most as a neutral fan that I was ever like, holy shit. Cause like, most of the other ones where I had crazy moments watching the Super Bowl, like I was a vested interest.
Yeah.
But that one, man, I was just as a spectator. That game was nuts, dude.
It was so much fun because I like the Eagles. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Eagles. They do a whole lot of shit that we don't really need to get into. But I like, for one, their uniforms are cool. I also like how Hallie Roseman kind of does the financial situation.
They need to go old school, back to the Kelly Green. That's what I think.
Couldn't really give you an opinion on that. I thought that what they had with Doug Peterson, like Doug Peterson's RPO kind of game, I'm a fan of. I think it's a very fun offense to watch.
Yeah.
I just think that once Carson Wentz and that whole situation went down, I think it rotted the team.
Oh yeah, of course. It just fell apart. It just fell apart, yeah.
Yeah, but like Doug Peterson, I actually thought was a pretty solid coach. I mean, I liked watching his. Have you ever seen his videos on YouTube talking about the RPO?
No, I haven't, but I'll have to check it out. I think he's a smart guy.
Yeah. They were talking about bringing Doug Peterson. I don't know if this was ever actually a possibility, but I remember hearing rumors that they were going to bring Peterson in to be the next offensive coordinator for the Steelers, and I wouldn't have minded that.
No, not at all. Okay, so here's the thing. All right, let's have this conversation because this is something I've been thinking about, and I've been talking about a little bit with like my uncles and text and stuff. All right. How do you, so you're like the big Canada guy and have been since he got hired. We were both fans of the hire, but you've been just more, I think you were more sold than I was that it was going to work. I think I'm being fair, right? Like, I think
absolutely.
You had a feeling that it would work. And I was like, I hope it works. And so how do you assess his promotion to offensive coordinator if he's wrong to run the offense with Roethlisberger? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, was that the best thing to do?
I see what you're saying.
If you knew Roethlisberger was coming back, and remember, it was kind of weird there with Canada, where we all assumed the second Fiechner didn't get extended, that like Canada obviously will be the offensive coordinator, and then it was like soft announced. Remember, like a couple reporters said it, but then the team didn't really announce it for a little while, and I don't know. I think it probably wasn't till after Ben re-signed. And I'm curious, like, obviously they wanted to keep Canada in the organization because they think he's smart. They think he could be their sort of like Sean McVay, whatever. But it's very abundantly clear that number 7 is not the right player to orchestrate that. So do you count that as an organizational failure?
No, and not for
But do you see where I'm going with that, though? Like...
Yeah, I do. And I understand why people have their opinions about it being an organizational failure. And it's because I don't think that anybody really expected Ben to come back. I think that they were like, oh, okay, we'll bring in this new hotshot college coordinator. We'll have Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins and Dobbs. We'll have them fight it out for the top spot, and we'll have them be our bridge quarterback. I think that's probably what they were going to do. And when Ben was like, no, I'm coming back, they were like, okay.
Oh yeah, because they promoted Canada first.
They promoted Canada first. Yeah.
Yeah, the date on this article by Steelers on SI was like January. Sorry, I saw it on Google, but not January 25th. Also, low key, when you search Matt Canada promotion, the first video that comes up on Google is your video on 5-star matchup.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I was very happy with that. And like people are saying in the chat right now, they're like, well, see, clearly Canada's scheme isn't working. And it's something I feel like
can't put anything on Canada.
Anyway.
I can't put anything on Canada.
I can't either, and I'll explain why. It's because does anybody that is critical of Matt Canada's tape, or excuse me, anybody that's critical of Matt Canada because of the offense this year, I can bet my life they haven't actually watched any Matt Canada tape from his college days.
It doesn't even look like the same thing.
No, because it's not. That's the problem. Is they decided, they were like, oh, okay, we'll just have Ben's offense with Canada's spice. That doesn't work.
Well, Canada, I mean, to be fair, Canada, to be fair, didn't lie about it. Remember in August, he said this is still Ben's offense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like there was any lying about it. I mean, shit, maybe he got a few more plays in that he didn't get in Fiechner's playbook last year, but I don't know. Did the Fiechner offense come out of the gates better than this one? Yeah.
It did, but it was a case where they had a good idea, but zero backup.
Yeah, that's true. They weren't able to pivot. That was the that was the thing. Remember we were talking about it? Yes, we were talking about it all August is the counter punch, and the Steelers just have not had one. I mean, truthfully, they have not been able to. I mean, Buffalo was the only game where they played better in the second half than the first. I mean, I don't know, or at least significantly better. And man, I don't know. It's just not. It's not moving in the right direction. Shout out to the people, the good friends of the show that have just rolled into the chat recently, and the ones that have been here all the way. We appreciate you. We always see you guys, and appreciate you hanging out when we are all chatting and coping and
the chat always makes it better.
It is. It is. I think these are communal things. I like that. I hate that the Steelers have basically outlawed my main show by making Steelers highlights a thing of the past. But I like that we get the same people in these live streams all the time. It is a nice feel. And even if you do check out the show live, make sure you consider subscribing on Spotify and or Apple too, because those help us out just a little bit. Help us rank in those algorithms, the all-important algorithms.
Someone says Joe Hayden was not offsides.
Yeah, X in the chat. What is up, my friend? She says Joe Hayden wasn't offsides, just in case someone needed clarification. Okay, I have to get this. I have to get this off my chest. It's you guys know, it's all love, all the time. I love you guys so much. The fact that we have really, in 24 hours, started to turn the Joe Hayden wasn't offsides thing into the same caliber thing as the Jesse thing, or even the Joe Hayden pass interference in New Orleans. It's just, I think it makes me sad. It wasn't
that big of a deal.
It makes me sad because it makes me think about how far my proud franchise has fallen in the last couple of years. Because the 2017 game was a late season game at home to determine home field advantage against the Patriots, who are our most hated rival, and we finally had them on the ropes. It's just a different context, and so that's not to be I'm with you guys. Everybody has a rightful case to say Joe wasn't offsides, because honestly, he wasn't offsides. It was called wrong. I don't understand why it's not reviewable. Let's do some lasers. It happens a lot. I get you guys, but it happens to everybody. Everybody bitches about the refs because they suck. And I don't know. They got cooked by Aaron Rodgers yesterday. The offense, I mean, I know it was a swing, but did that 3 points really make the difference? I mean, don't you think if he needed to, Aaron could have got another touchdown in the second half? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't even know if it changed the outcome of the game. Maybe it kept it interesting longer, but to me, I just think the context it points to a little bit about how we've fallen, because I don't, frankly, even with that win, does this thing change everything at 2-2 right now? I don't know.
No, I don't think that we really had much of a chance against the Packers, because just for the fact that we had Aaron Rodgers, man, when you have the greatest quarterback of all time, and when he is telling you that your defense is predictable, no, someone in the chat said he could put up 50 with his eyes closed, and they're right.
Yeah, it's, this is why people complain about Tomlin sometimes, and I'm not saying they're always right, but there are these moments under the spotlights where it sometimes looks like other coaches get the best of him. I mean, especially this younger generation of newer thinking. You and I have alluded to Tomlin sort of becoming a dinosaur, which is weird to think about because we always think of him as being a young coach because he got hired young.
Not mentally.
But yeah, Tomlin has sort of I don't know, Tomlin's closer to 1990s football mentality than he is to 2020s football mentality. And I think that can be a good thing, but I don't know, when it affects some of your decision-making processes, some of your thinking as far as analytics, when to use timeouts, all these kind of things, I think those things add up. And a lot of times he gets beat on those. He can spin a gem together. I'll give him credit. He's a wily old vet. He puts games together. There's a few in recent memory that I'll give him. I thought he was tremendous against Buffalo in week 1. I thought he was, there were several good games last year as far as a coaching standpoint. I thought the first Baltimore game was impressive. And even going back to the Duck year, I mean, impressive stuff. That Rams game, I think about that Rams game with Rudolph all the time. To beat that team with Mason Rudolph was an awesome coaching thing. But it's just they're getting fewer and further between.
you can see the transition happening, and it's happening a lot faster than I would have hoped it would have. And like the coaches that you say stay in the past can sometimes be successful, and that's kind of true, like to an extent. But I also think that the coaches that keep their old philosophies while modernizing them are the ones that actually have success. Like, hey, God damn it, I hate to bring it up again, but it's such a good example. Like Marty Schottenheimer, like where he was a dude that did the same thing for fucking 30 years,
Yeah.
but he knew when to change what wasn't working. He would go like 4-12 one year, and then he would bounce back the next year and go 12-4. Like he knew when to adjust when shit wasn't working, and I just have not seen enough examples of that to hit my quota for evidence that Tomlin can do that. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think it's an interesting thing to think about, because I think there's moments when he's over delivered, and I think there's moments where he's under delivered. And I think maybe if you average them all out, that he ends up being somewhere about
500.
Yeah, not, I mean, I can't say he's not an above average coach, because I personally value going to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl. I value them very highly, because I think it's just a really, really, really brutally hard thing to do. As far as overall in sports, I really believe that. I mean, when you look at it statistically, man, not that many quarterbacks have even started a Super Bowl. So I'll never, I don't care whose players, I don't care what team.
Oh, wait, yeah, you did.
Aaron Rodgers has been to one Super Bowl, okay? And that guy is incredible. And he has been incredible his whole career. And he's played on a good team, and he's been to one Super Bowl. So
I don't know how many times Rodgers has been fucked over, though, in fairness.
Yeah, I know, but still, that just points to how difficult it is. I mean, that's the thing. That's why I'll never take that away from Tomlin, and I can't assess him as being like a bad coach or a failure. I just kind of am getting to the point where I think I've accepted that my ideal future involves the whole thing sunsetting at once. And by that, I mean Mike and Ben. I think it's right. I think right.
I agree.
I just think it's right. It's not that Tomlin is bad. I think Tomlin could still continue to be a successful coach in this league, but isn't history just repeating itself again? Doesn't he have Cowher written all over him? I mean, he can go be on TV. He could make $1 bazillion. And I mean, I know he's the kind of guy who doesn't care about anything but football, but does he want to start over again? Why? I mean, no. I don't know. I kind of feel that way about Belichick too. Like, why do you want to start over again? And I don't know, man. I just kind of think it would be, I'm not saying fire Tomlin. I'm just saying, maybe we have a little handshake agreement and just kind of start a new regime.
Someone in the chat saying Tomlin's not the quarterback. Yeah, we heard you the first 7 times you put that in the chat, but the fact is that, like, if we're going to do the Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin debate at some point, which we might, like, Bill Cowher did much more with much less, and I think that's indisputable.
I still don't know that I go much less, because those rosters in the Blitzburg years were stacked. You just didn't have the quarterback.
Would you say that Cowher relied on talent like Tomlin does? I'm just wondering.
To an extent.
To an extent?
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, Cowher in his early part of his run still had elite players. I mean, Rod Woodson was an elite player. He knew how to put
together good defenses.
Yeah, but Tomlin's had elite players too. I don't perceive Tomlin's rosters as having been all that much better than Cowher's, unless depending on how you weight the quarterback position. Because yes, obviously Tomlin's had Roethlisberger the whole time, but I don't know. I don't know that the rest of the roster was what I would say would be. I mean, shoot, they got to the AFC Championship 4 times in the 10 years. Everybody always acts like the 90s were some dark period because we didn't have a franchise quarterback. Dude, they went to the Super Bowl. I mean, they went to the AFC Championship 4 times in the 10 years before Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
They've only been once in the last decade.
I still think the
with
Cower
Roethlisberger, you know, like
I still think the Cower overachieved compared to Tomlin. Like someone said in the chat that like given the talent level, like especially like think about this. What can you say that Bill Cower had a Hall of Fame offense at any point in his career? Because you absolutely can with Tomlin. Because Tomlin had the killer bees. I think that
yeah, no,
Bill
I mean
Cowher
it
just
was always the weaker unit under Cower, for sure.
Maddox, Stewart, Cordell, Bubby, like
Yeah, for sure. But I mean,
Cowher did more with less. That's my point.
yeah, I don't know. I just think that those I don't think it's as substantial as the initial statement pointed it out to be. I think is my exception. I think
fair.
I don't like the insinuation that those 90, like the 94 Steelers could have won the Super Bowl if they didn't slip up against the Chargers. That team was good, man. And so I don't know. I look at Neil O'Donnell, truthfully. People talk about him in retrospect like he was terrible. Neil O'Donnell was basically like what Ryan Tannehill is now. People didn't say, oh, he's a terrible quarterback. He started Monday Night Football games. Like he was, you know, a known commodity. He was not terrible. He was not Ben Roethlisberger, but people act like he was just terrible. And he just, frankly, I mean, he wasn't. He wasn't as good as Ben Roethlisberger, no doubt about it. But, you know.
No, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but like the problem with Neil was that every time it seemed okay. And granted, I was not alive to watch the prime years of Neil O'Donnell, if you will. But
yes.
Every single bit that I've ever seen, which is a handful of games, I would say, every time he got to a big spot, he absolutely shit his pants. Every single time. And Bill Cowher for the longest time had the same luck as Marty Schottenheimer, where he would get to the AFC Championship game and then some shit would go wrong. He makes it to the Super Bowl and then Neil O'Donnell shits his pants again. Like it just something always seemed to go wrong, as opposed to like people are saying in the chat, like as opposed to Tomlin who kind of just shits his pants in big moments.
Okay, I hear you. All right. Let's just flip this on its head a little bit, though.
Please.
How many times in the last decade has Ben Roethlisberger been what you would call great in a postseason game? Not many.
Not many. I would
let's just be real here. I mean, I think the last time... I mean, can you call it great if it's a loss? How do you sit on that?
You could say, well, no. I don't think that the win-loss is the only thing that factors in. Like, do you remember the AFC Championship game last year with, it was the NFC? I don't remember. It was Tampa Bay and Green Bay.
Yeah, NFC.
All right, fucking Tom Brady won the game with 3 interceptions, whereas Aaron Rodgers tore their defense apart for 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks, but he lost the game. So I would still say that Aaron beat the living shit out of Tom Brady, even though he lost the game.
Okay, but still the loss means you're starting from a slightly lower position, correct? Like,
yeah.
Okay,
yes.
I guess my point is, I think when I just look at surface level, and I go back through Ben's playoff games, I can't call either of the last 2 good performances because they were so behind the 8 ball because of how shitty he was immediately. Terrible against the Patriots, garbage time yards in the AFC Championship game. Not exceptional in any way, shape, or form against the Chiefs. 200 yards against Miami. I'm pretty sure one of those was like a 90-yard catch and run touchdown by AB, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, and then you go to 15 and you have the Denver game. I think that was probably the last one. I mean, no touchdowns. He was okay, 339, but, I know he didn't have a lot of options at his disposal. Cincinnati, can't really call that great. Then the Baltimore game in 14, lost, uneventful. Tebow game, can't call that great. Super Bowl 45, not great. The AFC Championship game that year, not great. I think the last time he was probably really great was that divisional playoff game against the Ravens in 2010. I mean, I'm just looking at him one by one here, dude.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Ben is not statistically a very good postseason quarterback. I think that's pretty indisputable.
Yeah.
I think Ben works best in the playoffs as a game manager. And I think Cowher noticed that. I think Cowher especially took notice, like, oh, I have this rookie, superstar quarterback. We go 15-1, but I think he saw in the playoffs, oh, he's not an all-time great postseason quarterback, and so I think that's why you saw in that 3-game on the road stretch for Super Bowl 40, they didn't have him carry the heavens.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's only thrown 6 more touchdowns than interceptions in the playoffs. 34-28. Not.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Ben is. I think it's expected that odds are your quarterback will not play as well in the postseason because he's playing against better defenses. But you still like to think that they can pull it off against a team that has Tim fucking Tebow as their quarterback.
Yeah.
That should have resulted. What I think Barry said that should have resulted in the Steelers being audited by the league when they lost to Tim Tebow.
They should have. They should have been relegated like in European soccer.
Yeah.
Oh man, if you start by yards per attempt, Ben in 2005 against the Bengals, 10.95 yards per attempt. Could you imagine Ben with 10 yards per attempt nowadays? Impossible.
No, I couldn't see that, and I think it's A, because our O-line isn't going to give him that kind of time, but I think it's also just for the fact that that's not who he is anymore. I mean, he lived underneath all season last year.
He's not seeing things. He's really not seeing things. He's not trusting his body. He's not.
Ben has lived off of his anticipation. I think that's something that gets overlooked. Ben doesn't. Odds are when Ben throws a deep ball, I mean, not anymore, but the way Ben's deep ball was that he wasn't throwing it to the receiver. He was throwing it to the spot the receiver was going to be at. And he would do that all through anticipation. And Ben doesn't have that.
Wow, interesting bomb dropped in the chat by Off-Season Productions, who says AB was right about what he said, which I think is...
What did he say?
I'm assuming he's talking about when AB left and kind of shit-talked Roethlisberger on the way out, basically implying that he wasn't as good anymore.
Well, yeah, but I also think that comes from a place where he's trying to say the most stinging thing possible.
Oh,
but he might
have
been correct.
I mean, but it's hard to argue. It has worked out better for Antonio.
I'm not even going to get into that because I'll say something that can't be taken back.
Oh, he's horrible. Don't get me wrong. It is painful watching him catch freaking dimes from 45-year-old Tom Brady. It feels like some sort of cosmic punishment for something I didn't even know I did wrong. But
yeah, and we all have Tom Brady to thank for bringing back that human being to the league. Thanks, Brady.
Somebody would have signed him anyway. He's too good. He's still really good. I think people would say I'm crazy. I still think he's the best receiver on the Bucs.
Yeah, I could agree with you. I mean,
I think he's better down to down than Mike Evans ever was, and I think he's as good as Chris Godwin.
I think that Antonio, I don't think so right now, but I think Antonio at his peak was the best receiver I ever saw.
Oh, I've said this a million times. I've been watching since 2000 and a little bit in the 90s, but I was a kid. Yeah. Antonio's the best skill player I ever saw. No doubt.
I started watching roughly in 2004. I've been watching my whole life, but that's when I started remembering was 2004. Yeah. And I mean, listen, I've seen Marvin, I've seen T.O., Chad, Randy. Oh, yeah. Antonio is a better receiver than all of them, in my opinion.
He literally is. He was incredible. Yeah. Offseason says AB and Brady is the most heel duo ever, and that is
true.
Very accurate. X in the chat says she wants to get some feelings on how people are feeling coming up against Denver this weekend. They're
I
banged up. Apparently, Teddy might not play, but they got Drew Lock, who we played last year, and hell, barely beat. Terrell Edmonds had to get a sack to end that game, remember?
yeah, I do.
And that was with a
I don't.
90-yard catch and run touchdown by Chase.
Well, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
I think that was like Chase Claypool's like coming out moment, if you will.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Although I thought even his first catch was freaking awesome against the Giants. That one on the far sideline when he had to go up and get it. That was a great catch.
People are calling Ben. They're not calling him Ben. They're calling him Pylon in the chat.
Oh man.
I can't even say they're wrong because
Poor
I think
Benjamin.
that Ben. I think Ben of 10 years ago could run a Matt Canada system with the bootlegs and whatnot. I don't know if he can do that.
No, he
anymore.
can't. He can't throw the ball on the run. I mean, clearly he
No.
can't. He just can't. And that's why that's when you know it's over for a guy, because that was his superpower. That's what we watched him do. That's how we watched him win 2 Super Bowls. It was because he was able to do that on a regular basis, and now he can't do it. He just can't. I'm over. I can't accept any more excuses, and I know that sounds like I'm being hard on the guy. It's just I cringe when I hear him talk now, because I know, he knows, the reporter asking him the question knows, you know, that the answer is he's not playing good enough. And we do this like obscene sort of dog and pony act where we have to ask him in all these different ways, like, Ben, hey, do you think you suck now, or are you too old to... And it's just, I hate watching it because it's morbid. It's a morbid curiosity. And, you know, I just keep telling everybody, last year, you remember I was captaining the ship circa like the Cowboys game when everybody was complaining, oh, well, that should have been a blowout, or we should have never been close, or whatever.
Blow every team out.
And remember, I just kept saying to everybody, dude, they're 9-0. The quarterback didn't play last year. Like, can we just, you know, like, do we have to be upset about the way in which we got it done against Cooper Rush or whatever, Garrett Cooper, whatever the hell that guy's name was?
I can't even remember his name. Garrett something. Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah, Garrett Gilbert. What's eating Garrett Gilbert? Yeah, and like, you know, and I was just saying at the time, because I felt already that we were on borrowed time with Roethlisberger. That's why I wore my number 7 jersey every game last year. And I think if I could say anything this year, it's just that you have to just change your compass. Like, I don't know, man. It's not the same thing. And I think, I don't know. I just wish more people. I wish more people enjoyed what they were watching in the middle of it last year, because I had a feeling it was going to be the last time we saw Superman go into the phone booth, and I just hope enough people realize what we watched. That's all, because I still think that was special.
You talking about the Colts game?
No, I just mean the whole like 11-0 run. I mean, to me, yeah. I'm not soured. I'm not that soured by the end of last year. It sucks, but in retrospect, it's like, can I be that bent out of shape that I saw Ben come back and go 11-0? No, it was kind of a nice memory. I just kind of wish it was the last one.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to see him. I just don't think that he could have lived with himself if he went out after that Cleveland game, even if it goes worse this year.
I mean, I hear that, and I know that's exactly why he came back, because he is that kind of a competitor. But is putting this on tape any better?
No,
I mean, at least he could have been out saying, "Oh, well, I went down old gunslinger. I threw it 400 times for 5,000 yards." I mean, I don't know that this is better.
Why do you think that Ben's decision making has taken such a hit over the past couple years? It's not just this year; it's been a couple years.
I think because I think it's a combination of things. Right now, it's clear that he doesn't. He doesn't trust the line. He got hit a little bit too much early on. He looks like he's playing scared to get hit, so he doesn't trust them. And I think it's a lot bit of what we've been talking about now for about 2 weeks, which is that he does not have his cheat code. And he wants and expects Najee to become that guy. I just don't think their careers are on the same schedule. Yeah, he wants Deontay to be that guy. I think he wants Najee to be that guy. You know, I could see in his brain where he sees Antonio and Le'Veon there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's just not.
I can understand it.
It's just not. And I think that's really thrown him out of whack because he just doesn't have that thing of, oh shit, when all else fails, like this is what I go to. And, you know, I don't know. I think that's really what it comes down to. I think it's just a matter of trust, and at this point, it's really just a matter of physical. I really think I don't think Ben's I think Ben's had like 2 really bad decisions this year. The interception against Oakland and I think the second one against Cincy were both just absolutely terrible. But other than that, I think he's been mostly making the right decisions. He's missed at least 3 touchdowns, maybe actually at least 4 in the last 2 weeks. Because he missed the one to Claypool down the seam that I thought should have been a touchdown, and he definitely missed it and was late. Then he missed the one that should have been like
2 to Juju.
He should have missed. Yeah, well, and I'm still on the previous though, and then he missed the one that should have been a catch and run, like 85-yard bomb to Washington last week, and then the 2 to Juju, the one that would have been right in the end zone, and then the one where he would have caught on a run for like 60 yards. I mean, that's 4 touchdowns, man. Like, how different do these last 2 games look with an extra 28 points? They lost by 9 points. You know what they lose? 10 points yesterday. Final score.
Something like that. Yeah. People are saying in the chat, X is actually saying that Ben's trying to recreate the Killer Bees, essentially. And that's actually, I think, a good point.
They're just not on the same schedule as him. That's the problem.
Well, but also the problem is that the way you're supposed to use the short passing game is you do it until the defense sits down on it, and then you burn them down the field.
Yeah, and that's what they did with Haley.
That's what they did with Haley, but also remember that like 84 on a crosser was what we were looking at most of the time. Like people act like all we did was chuck it deep to AB, but no, a lot of it was yards after catch.
Well, and what's going on here too with these guys not being able to identify simple scheme? Because what's the deal with the Juju running the man? He said he was running a man buster route, and they're playing obvious zone. I mean, I'm not going to act like I'm General X's and O's over here, but I mean, the justification I've seen for it is nuts in that, like, there's no way you would be running that in that situation. Roethlisberger has been in the league 20 years. He doesn't know how to audible out of that? Or does he not have the authority to audible out of it? Does he not know enough of the playbook? What are we watching?
I think that's it. I think that they're putting Ben on a very short leash because I think they know that he can't do the rest of it. Does he really not have options
at the line of scrimmage? You really think?
Yeah, I think so. I think that Ben coming back.
What's the point?
I agree with you. Like, yeah. I think you're handicapping. I think you're handcuffing the entire team when you do this. But that's what they're doing, and they want to. I have a quick question for you, actually. Paige says in the chat. So, do you think Mike Tomlin said "out of bullets" in the way of referring to Big Ben as a gunslinger, and loosely implying that Ben doesn't have it that way?
No.
I don't think Tomlin's that detailed.
No, Tomlin. No, he would not do that. He's not gonna. He may feel that way, but that's not why he said it. He didn't. He just says stuff. I think
it came out. Maybe it came out from within.
I think that just speaks to. I think the out of bullets thing just speaks to the limited nature of the offensive playbook. I hate to say I called it out on the show last week, but by the way, you guys should still be watching the show even if it's a loss episode. I said, like, I think what he meant is that we have like 55 pass plays installed on a weekly basis because this is all of Canada's offense that Roethlisberger can and wants to run, whichever it is, whether it's what he can and they're deciding he can, or he's deciding he wants to. However the process is working there, it's abundantly clear that does Sean Payton and Drew Brees, did they ever run out of plays? They threw the ball 70 fucking times a game for 10 years. I mean,
never ran out of shit to do.
So what is that? I mean, how does that happen with a 20+ year quarterback? I don't know, 18-year quarterback, whatever. Don't kill me for saying that wrong.
Oh,
but you get
same
my point.
fucking thing. I mean, you know what I think is a perfect example of that, to your point, is did you see, I think it was 2 years ago. It was the 49ers and the Saints. And it was one of those big gunslinging.
Oh yeah, was that 55-52 or something like that?
Something like that, where George Kittle won it in the end by that big run at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are the kind of, you would expect that if you needed to. You would expect to have enough plays to cover a gunslinging quarterback
You would think,
duel.
yeah. In week 2, I mean, or week 3.
And they just, I can't express it enough. They had nothing. What did they do? They ran slants and screen passes. What else did they do?
And then they did the same thing this week. I mean, the 4th down, it couldn't have been. I thought it was a joke. I thought I had a stroke. I honestly did. I couldn't believe. I thought I was in the Matrix and time skipped back because I was watching. I saw a vision, because how did they do the same thing? How did they do the same thing? How did they do the same thing? Of all the things you said, fuck it, let's do the same one. Why?
Because they don't learn from their mistakes, and that has been a signature in Mike Tomlin's Steeler teams.
They had a number of plays that had no chance to work in the situation that they were calling them. And what about Deontay going backwards behind a first down? That was a disastrous situation. He had an easy first down. He went backwards. They knocked him 4 yards back, which I didn't really get that. I didn't think he went that far back himself, but whatever.
Oh, he did.
And, all right, well, whatever.
He went back to the fucking line of scrimmage.
And then he gets a false start on the next play. Everybody's like, oh, Deontay's elite now. He cost him a first down, and then he got a false start on the next play, which kind of not really his fault, because Ben kept him at the line. He was trying to get a offsides.
Yeah.
And because he knows it's the best chance of converting. Jesus Christ, I fucking hate it. Oh, my God. God, I hate it, dude. It's so bad. The offense, the efficiency at this point, I mean, dude, it's brutal. It honestly is worse than it looks.
Yes.
And I just can't express that deeply enough. I really feel I have to give some credit to X in the chat too, again, because she, I think, was tweeting about this earlier. What was the point of drafting Freiermuth and touting this guy as such a great receiver? And obviously he looks great. It feels like he's not even a part of the game plan on Sundays. I would think if Ben was struggling, I guess that's the thing that's weird about it, is that he's so clearly struggling, but he's also going against his own interests sometimes by throwing low percentage balls. Wouldn't he benefit by hitting Freiermuth over the middle? I haven't seen him throw in the middle of the field, even 7 yards down the field, in what feels like a year.
If I can answer that question a little bit, I think a lot of this stems back to them not expecting Ben to come back. I think they had this idea of, we're going to have this big new age, do you remember when the Eagles had Chip Kelly when they first hired
it's going to be their whole big shift, and yeah.
So you get what
they're
I'm saying.
They're going to run huddle with Sam Bradford, and they were the defense was on the field for 46 minutes a game or some shit. Yeah, remember that? It's a disaster.
Was the worst. And yeah, I mean, that offense was really revolutionary. They were able to go 3 and out in mere seconds.
Oh my God.
So bad. Well, it worked for a year. And then defenses caught on, and he couldn't counterpunch. It's funny how that works.
Yeah, dude, I told you it was gonna be the theme. It's been the theme. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just it's heavy dark times in Heinz Field Stadium.
But I feel like that needs to come with a caveat that really, for as like depressing as this can sound, listen, at least we can look forward to brighter times.
Yeah,
Maybe it sucks right now, but I mean, we get to see the last little bit of Ben, and that's history in
I
one way or
guess.
another.
I guess. I mean, I didn't really have a pleasure watching Troy Polamalu in 2014. I still watched it, but I didn't really love watching it. Um, I think, yeah, this is an interesting point Pays brings up, as they so often uh, do bring up interesting points. They say, realistically, what do you think they're saying in the coaches' room? Coaches' room. Colbert is in there too, and I think that's an interesting. Isn't that an interesting thing to think about? Because we're talking about Canada and we're talking about what are we doing here? Are we running his thing? Why'd we hire him? What was the point?
Yeah.
And what do you think? I mean, what do you think they told him? Like, do you really? I mean, do you think Tomlin's sitting there? Like, him and Tomlin have to have acknowledged this, correct? Right? I mean, they have to have acknowledged this together privately. They have to have talked about Roethlisberger, right?
Uh, Man, I don't know.
Do
I
you
don't
really?
know. It's a good
Canada.
question.
I mean, because like I don't know if Canada. I don't know the dynamics, but I don't know if Canada. Like, is he in a position where he feels comfortable going to Tomlin and saying like, your boy that you've been to war with for the
Oh,
last 15 years, like he's the thing limiting us, or did they say, look, we know he's limiting us. Just do what you can. We're really thinking about you for the future. I
yeah,
don't know.
I feel like if there was a conversation, I feel like that would have been it. I'm just not sure there has been one because I just don't think that they have a
They
tendency to
have.
just stay the course.
I know they do, but I'm just saying like like a private conversation, because if you and me, I mean, we're really being honest. We're really trying to be fair here. We're really not trying to put down our hero or put dirt on his grave, but we're just
You have
assessing
to
it
say what you
fairly.
see.
We're just assessing it fairly. And look, they watch film. Okay, there's other experienced quarterbacks. Say what you want about Mason Rudolph. He's played in the league for a few years now. He played a million games at Oklahoma State.
He's better than people give him credit.
Same thing with Dobbs, Haskins, guys at real programs. Like, sure, it was college, whatever, but those are guys who have been leaders at high levels of playing quarterback. Fair, right?
I wouldn't say high levels, but I see your point.
Ohio State and Tennessee. I mean, come on, man. Those are. It's not like they
Dobbs in there.
Yeah, it's not like they played Appalachian State or something. I mean,
That's true. That's
they're
true.
guys who were good, and they were good quarterbacks. I mean, Dobbs was a really good college quarterback. Mason Rudolph was a great college quarterback, and Haskins was pretty good.
People called Mason Rudolph the Peyton Manning of college football.
Dude, I
remember that
thought
headline.
Rudolph was good when he was in college. I wanted the Steelers to draft him.
Look, Mason Rudolph, I still think I really do because we've
I know
seen consistent, steady improvement from Rudolph over
the guy
years.
can throw the ball. The guy
Yes,
can
he
throw
can.
the ball. I think he's sort of like he could be a Neil O'Donnell in the next interim period of time.
I can't. I don't even like using that kind of term. Have Mason be a system QB. That's fine.
You know, I just don't know, dude. All I know is that we've watched 4 games. The Steelers are averaging 16.75 points per game.
Without Mason, yeah.
Yeah, without Mason. No, I'm saying just this season they're averaging 16.75. So yeah, I don't know. I guess the 17 points yesterday actually raised the average, which is hard to imagine. I don't know.
It's frustrating. It's something that I think you can see improve. We have improvement in the run game. I think that much is established. I think that we're starting to see bright spots on the line occasionally.
Yeah.
That's all I'll put it at right now.
Yeah,
But I
that's
think
fair.
by the end of this year, we could probably have like the 20th ranked rushing team. I think that's
Yeah, well, because they're gonna be down a shitload, and they might just be handing it off, given Najee stat builders.
Well, someone said in the chat that like fuck it, just bench Ben and do what we did in 2019 and just have fun. Honestly, I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because I
We're
felt
not
kind
going to win a Super Bowl. I didn't think before the season. I didn't want to say it on stream, but like I can say it now. I didn't think we were going to win a Super Bowl whenever the season started.
yeah,
I thought best case scenario we'd make it to like the AFC Championship game. Ben would throw a Brett Favre pick, and that'd be the end of it.
yeah. Kevin the Elder God says, I just feel like Ben is trying to do this farewell tour like Kobe did, but in the NFL, especially at QB, the Steelers cannot trot him out if they think that they have a shot at the playoffs. I don't know that they think that they would have a shot at the playoffs without Roethlisberger. I think that they probably anticipated needing him to be in the playoffs.
I
So
think they got to look at reality though.
I know, but I just don't know. Again, to the previous point, I'm not really sure who. I'm not sure what you gain by. I mean, I guess if you think Rudolph could be the future, then I think you would have to think about it with like 4 games to go.
Yeah,
If it doesn't get better, maybe put Ben on IR. You know, he stubs his toe at home and he's
yeah.
turf toe. I guess you could see that happening. I have kept going back to this. Everybody knows I'm in a very boxing mood this season, but
Yeah.
I do. I just keep going back to this famous Muhammad Ali fight where he tried to make a comeback
Oh
in
yeah.
1980, and he just
Yeah.
gets pummeled for 10 rounds until they throw in the towel. And man, I'm just watching them peel my guy off the turf with a spatula, and I'm watching him struggle to do even a semblance of what resembles a 2021 style offense. And
I
I just don't think it ends pretty. And I don't want to see. I don't want to. I got to quote our guy from last week, Cruz Steelski, but I don't want to see it go down like that, man. I don't want to see, God forbid, you know, a stretcher. That's the last memory of that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just have this pervasive feeling that the longer it goes on, the more likely something like that is to happen, and I just don't want to see it.
I would much rather them just kind of play it safe for the rest of this year. I would be much more content with them playing Mason Rudolph and just running it 30 times a game. You know what I'm saying? Like just
Yeah.
make it a ball control. Like let's just not turn the ball over. Let's have an offense. I'm gonna quote Tomlin again. Fucking just do not kill us. You know what I mean? But
Oh,
this
I
idea
mean,
that we're gonna be this great offense. Honestly, I think that like our receiving core, I think Juju's gone after this year. I don't think he's coming back.
no way.
Like I think that we're going to be a case where we're just a team that runs it and runs it and runs it, and has a little bit of play action to complement the run game, and just make the QB the least important position on the offense, essentially.
Yeah, I will say here. Okay, I wanna address this. I mean, you're not in a rush to hop off, are you? I just have one more
No,
point.
no,
I just we're flowing and people are hanging out, so I just like I'm having fun commiserating.
yeah,
Um,
ditto.
I will say here because Steelers Freak just said it, and X brought up the draft and stuff. Uh, this team blew its load last year. 3 to 5 year rebuild mode is in effect now. I will say, here's the thing. Okay, we have been known here at 5 Star Matchup for giving you a positive outlook. This is the positive outlook. It hurts to accept in the short term. However, I promise you it's a positive take. I don't think it's that far. I don't think this team has that many pieces that it needs.
No,
I just think that
no.
they're important pieces. I think this line, I have enough confidence. I don't have confidence at this point that Kendrick is going to be the franchise center. I don't. I don't know about the tackle situation. I think you probably need a tackle, but we don't know.
Draft one.
Banner could be good. You know, guards, it's like, I don't know, you probably need another one, but guard isn't a high value pick anyway. And then all of a sudden you have an offense where you're either selling to a free agent or a rookie. Okay, you're going to come in and you're going to have Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Pat Fryermuth, Najee Harris. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
2 months ago, all of us were saying, "Oh, there was the pictures floating around with a picture of each of them." Everybody saying like, "Who's stopping this offense?" And then people sarcastically would be like, "Roethlisberger." LOL. 2 months later, they were exactly right. But still, think about that. If they're going to be in the top 10 of the draft this year, I don't know. I think you go right. If there's a quarterback you like, I think you just go right in and get it. I think they could almost pull off an Andrew Luck thing, don't you? I think everybody acting like, oh, this is the worst way to do it because they don't have a succession plan. Hello, that almost never happens. Never happens. And also, everybody acts like the Colts some stroke of genius. They got screwed because Peyton was out for a whole season. They were terrible. They won one game, and they happened to be the year that Andrew Luck was coming out of college. What did they do? They didn't do anything. They had a terrible year when Andrew Luck came out of college. So I don't...
You mentioned they almost ruined Peyton Manning's career. I feel like that needs to be stated as well.
I mean, that's fair. But point being, I mean, they did ruin Luck's career, which is a travesty. Oh, man, if Andrew Luck came back and played for the Steelers, oh, my God. I would love that. Oh, my God, that would be hype. Oh, I never even thought of that. That's my answer. That's my new answer. That's it. Let's get that going. Andrew Luck is never coming back. He's a smart man. He's so much happier not taking physical abuse for a living. But God, wouldn't that be nice though? Wouldn't that be nice? I like Andrew Luck. I got a lot of respect for him.
I'm with you. He could have been a Hall of Famer.
I never really got to talk about him on 5-Star because Steelers never played him since I've been doing this. But I was always impressed by him, man. Disappointed. Yeah, disappointed that we didn't get to watch more of him. I really thought he was going to be great for a long time.
I felt so bad for him because you just saw him take so much abuse year after year. He could have been a Hall of Famer, man.
And if everything else, I mean, you can't assume everything else goes the same way, but don't you think that if you just copy pasted healthy Andrew Luck onto that Colts team last year, don't you think they'd probably make some noise in the playoffs? That team was good last year.
Great defense, great O-line. Yeah, man,
and Rivers looked absolutely cooked.
He kind of did. He had more back-breaking interceptions in one season than I think any other QB I'd ever seen, not named Neil O'Donnell.
Ooh, ouch. Poor Neil.
I'll never forgive him for those 2 loaves of bread to Larry Brown, even though I don't even think I was alive for that game.
It was the end of January of 1996. So
yeah, I was born in February of 97.
Whoa, dude! Wow, I was already a strapping young lad of 7.
There you go.
It.
Well, like Neil, like you said that he was a very efficient passer, but he just couldn't. He was like Landry Jones.
I'll be honest with you.
He could complete some balls, but he would fuck up.
I'll be honest with you, and everybody's gonna hate me for saying this. I watched a lot of Neil O'Donnell games. I mean, I don't remember them in present, but I've watched a lot since I've been doing 5-Star matchup. Neil O'Donnell, when he was at his best with the Steelers, was like 3 times better at least than Roethlisberger is right now. That's that's why I can't talk shit on Neil O'Donnell right now, because that guy was better than Roethlisberger. That he makes those 2 throws yesterday. I'm just being honest. Like,
you're right.
I don't know. This thing about playing Ben, not playing Ben, sentimental, whatever. Man, I don't know. I just think it's up to him. I think he's a sort of prideful, alpha dog kind of type, and I think ultimately you have to let them make their decisions for themselves, don't you? I don't know. I mean, is it right to forcibly bench him? Would we really be happy about that? I don't know. Didn't it seem kind of sleazy when the Giants did it a couple of years ago? We all hated it.
Well, I don't think that was the right decision at that moment.
Well, Eli also had the streak too. That's the other part of that.
That's the other thing about, you're exactly right. It was also a case where, who the hell were they going to bench him for? They benched him for Geno goddamn Smith. That was weird. At least Mason Rudolph is an acceptable starter. Geno Smith is horrible.
Yeah, that'd be like if the Steelers did it. They benched Roethlisberger just to play Josh Dobbs.
or Duck. Or just what the hell are you doing?
Bring back Duck, honestly. Man.
Nothing matters, so just bring him in as a camp arm. Fucker. No.
Man.
No,
that was my
I would
point.
take.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just gonna say, like, honestly, I would probably take Haskins over Duck, but like really neither of them are very good in my opinion, so I would just go with Duck. You
Duck
know
was
what I
at
mean?
least fun to root for, you know.
He was a gunslinger. He was fun to
He
watch.
never got
in a
caught at the
Favre
he
kinda
never
way.
got caught at the strip club without a mask on during Corona, so
That's
you
true.
know. I have just hating on Dwayne Haskins for no reason. He's been a perfectly acceptable member of the Steelers community. I have no problem with him. I just don't.
Yeah, but the
I
people
don't think
saying
he's
to
very
bring him
good.
in. Yeah, the people that are saying like, oh, get rid of Mason Rudolph and just let Haskins be the backup. These people, fucking like, what are you watching? Like, Mason's been fucking twice the quarterback that Dwayne has
Dude,
been
there's
so
7
far.
playoff teams. Okay, the Bears had no offense last year whatsoever. They got to the playoffs. You're gonna tell me this team, if you really did go into this season thinking those skill players were really good, and you really did go into this season thinking the defense was really good, and you really thought the offensive line was going to get better as it went on and they played, then why wouldn't they be at least okay with Mason Rudolph in 2021? I mean, or 2022. Like, why not? What at this point? That's a guy who's been in your building for longer than anything. I don't know. I don't get it. I think that your best chance of having success in the interim, it's, you know, do you want to burn everything down? I don't think you have to. I really don't. I think you could go with a guy like Rudolph next year. I don't think the results would be as bad as you might think they would be. And even if they are, then you either draft a guy early this year, because again, I really think this team is only missing two or three pieces. Just they happen to be really important pieces. You draft a quarterback next year, and then he sits for a year, he plays. But I still think you're probably looking at somebody who's not a rookie starting next year.
Well, you're telling me that like Mason Rudolph couldn't go like 500%. With like, if our low line improves and defense like it remains a good defense, you're telling me Mason couldn't do again what like Jared Goff could have done or something like that?
Oh,
like,
no, absolutely. Yeah, I think you could mold him into a system quarterback, and I think he would be fine.
What do you mean? Like, okay, so Pays in the chat is saying like, oh, there's no difference between Rudolph and Haskins. No, man, I disagree with you. I disagree.
Rudolph's been better in his opportunities in almost every way, shape, or form.
Yes.
I mean, that's just a fact. That is a sample size. If you look at I had this pulled up earlier because I was looking at it for Roethlisberger, but if you look at touchdown percentage last year, Dwayne Haskins, I don't know how many games he played for them, but I think it was at least like 5 or 6 or 7. And his touchdown percentage was like 33rd in the league. He throws a touchdown on like 2.6% of his passes. I mean, the guy, you think Roethlisberger is playing bad right now? Dude, Dwayne Haskins was playing last year with like pretty good skill players. That Washington had a nice little skill player crew with Terry McLaurin and stuff. And he was, I mean, terrible. He was a first-round pick that they cut after starting like 10 games. Come on.
Well, Pace says, seriously, tell me what Mason has shown you to convince me he's better than Haskins. Well, I will tell you, actually. For one, I think Rudolph's deep ball is better than Haskins. Haskins has a better arm, but Rudolph's deep ball accuracy is better, in my opinion. Rudolph can use the middle of the field better than Haskins can. Haskins has better short game. I will concede that to you. But I think that Rudolph has, like, if he can get better with his short game a little bit, I think that he'll actually have a pretty balanced game. His play action needs work, but I think it's to be expected from the first year in a Matt Canada system. There's that gif everyone plays of him handing it off to the wrong side. Yeah, that shit happens.
Yeah.
But now I'll turn the question to you. Rudolph has done pretty well against good defenses. The Rams in 2019, the Browns were kind of a team on the way up. He did well and beat the Colts and put together a game-winning drive against the Colts defense. Now tell me, what has Dwayne Haskins shown that you could even remotely compare to that to say that he's better than Mason Rudolph? That's what I want to know.
Well, yeah, I think the only argument people are going to make there is what's already being made here, is that, you know, Rudolph had a better team than Washington had. But
that's true.
It's still, it's different though. But it's different because Dwayne Haskins was a first round pick. The team was built for him. Like, he was the focal point of a team that they were building. And don't tell me he didn't have anything. He had Antonio Gibson. He had Terry McLaurin. I mean, as soon as Alex Smith came in, he wasn't even playing great, and they were a playoff team. So, like, I know it's the NFC East, but still, he won like 6 games in a row as soon as Haskins went out.
And so, well, here's another counter argument that someone's making. That's a fair point. Is that Rudolph got benched, and he got benched in that Bengals game.
Yeah, but that's because he got hurt. Like, how long are we going to hold a concussion against somebody because the team brought him back too quick? I mean,
seriously,
how is that his fault? He like, people act like he's been some whiny wimp ever since then or something. Last I checked, I gave Steelers credit when they got jacked the fuck up playing for my team. Okay, like that. Yeah. How has it become a knock on Rudolph that he got lit the fuck up on a bad illegal shot? Was it a flag by Earl Thomas? It was a penalty.
I don't think so.
I think it might have been a fine after the fact.
Fine, but I don't think it was a penalty.
Regardless, the guy was out there scrambling. That was like his first or second full game or whatever.
He was about to win the game too.
I know, he made that was a nice throw that he made on that one. That was a conversion. Then Duck kept him in the game, and fucking Juju actually fumbled. But
yeah, that's true.
But still, come on. You're talking about a guy in Haskins who was drafted to be a #1 pick. A team is built for him, did nothing. Rudolph came into a team in his second year. He had no quarterback coach in his first year. He was admittedly raw. And then he was starting by week 2, and he did pretty fine until he got knocked the fuck out, and
played with a concussion, and then almost beat the Jets whenever he came into the game, and then got injured again.
Yep, I was there. Paid money to sit there for that. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. I have had awful luck with games in the last 2 years. This has not been good. Not been good. Well, I think this is a good point. Austin will get mad at us if we go much longer than this. He's going to say it's going to be too long for Spotify. But that is a good reminder to follow the show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whichever you're, maybe both. Do it on both. Even if if you have an iPhone, do it on both. You got both on your phone. Just doing it. You can listen on one, but do it on both. Gage, before we get out of here, you wanna give the people any final thoughts? You got anything to say you want to add before we get out of here?
No, I mean, follow the channel, you guys. Subscribe. That's another thing, is that a lot of people watch us, they won't subscribe. So subscribe to 5-Star Matchup. You guys can follow us on Twitter, 5-Star Matchup, and Gage Ryan Video.
Yes.
And I mean, yeah. Honestly, I think that if I had to leave it on one note, I would just say that I hope this season turns out to be another 2019 season, because it's way more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say. I think really to you guys that, I mean, so many of you have been in here this whole time. I've seen.
Oh yeah.
It's great, man. There's been so many people that have been here most of this time. We've been going almost 2 hours. And I'm not gonna get on the soapbox. I'm not gonna complain about our numbers being down because the Steelers suck. Like, I get it, but all I'm saying is, like, the sooner you accept it, the sooner we can continue to just like have fun together. And whether it's good or bad, there's still 15 more weeks of it. Like, it's okay. It's gonna be okay.
Enjoy football.
It's gonna be okay.
To enjoy
yeah,
it.
because it's gonna be gone again, and just have fun, man. Just do what you can to support your team and be hype. But it's okay to not feel miserable about it 24/7. I don't know. Just enjoy it. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone in the chat and everyone listening on Spotify or Apple. Wherever you get your podcasts, I want to thank you for listening to this edition of 5-Star Radio. Gage, I will see you on the other side. Everyone on the internet, appreciate you. See you next time.
Take care, guys.
Bye.